Taliban has been able to successfully form a cabinet, which is all but inclusive. The newly formed government has moved a step ahead in cementing its grip of Afghanistan. According to reports, they are set to hold an oath-taking ceremony on the 11th of September. Remember, 11th of September is the day which also marks the 20th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks in the US in 2001. The newly formed Taliban government has already rolled out invitations to various countries to be part of the oath-taking ceremony. The nations include China, Turkey, Pakistan, Iran, Qatar, India, and the United States. However, Taliban have not yet commented on the oath-taking ceremony of the newly formed government. The move comes amid Taliban's outreach for international support and recognition for their cabinet. Remember, Taliban had said that they already have established relationships with neighbors, including China. They have called on the countries to reopen their embassies in the war-torn nation. However, the international community is still not ready to recognize the announced interim government. Non-inclusivity of certain sections of society and representation of various old guards who are listed as proscribed terrorists by the United Nations are a few of the many issues the international community has. Meanwhile, the United States, in its recent reaction on the Taliban government formation, has said that the cabinet does not reflect what the international community and the US had hoped to see. On the other hand, the Taliban have lashed out at the international criticism against the members of their interim setup, especially the US, who they say are violating the Doha peace agreement by not recognizing the interim Taliban government. And for more on this, our correspondent Anas Malik joins us live from Kabul, Afghanistan. Malik, good to see you. What do we know, or what more do we know about the oath-taking ceremony? What can we expect about this plan? Because the day coincides with the 9/11 20th anniversary.
Well, yes, Eric, there are reports that the oath-taking might just take place tomorrow on the 20th anniversary of the heinous 9/11 attacks. These are just reports as we speak. We're yet to see a confirmation coming in from the Taliban on this matter, because we've previously seen that the modus operandi of Taliban has been that they have been denying, or how they have been operating is the fact that they have been trying to deny the reports, whatever that has been reported in the media all along, be that be for the government formation or be that be for the airport takeover as well. This particular report can be seen in that manner as well. We've reached out to Taliban officials with regards to this confirmation on that, but we're yet to hear back. But what we can confirm that 6 countries had been invited, at least 6 of them. There are now reports that the United States and Egypt have also been invited. These reports are unsubstantiated or unconfirmed as yet. The 6 countries that are confirmed that have been invited include Pakistan, China, Iran, Russia, Turkey, and Qatar. The Russian envoy and the Uzbek envoy are to participate as well in the oath-taking ceremony. This is what has been confirmed to me by multiple sources as well. But as we speak, there is no official word rather with regards to the oath-taking ceremony. There is increased speculation that it can take place on the 11th of September, that is tomorrow, at the Presidential Palace. Eric.
Malik, you mentioned some of these countries which have been invited or so by the Taliban. Do we have any confirmation from any of these countries which have been invited?
Well, yes, the Russian Foreign Minister, in fact, Sergei Lavrov, on Monday had confirmed it to their state news agency that they had indeed received an invite and that they would be sending, they would be participating only if the government is inclusive. Then on Tuesday, we saw the announcement coming in from the Taliban in announcing their set of ministers, which includes 1 Uzbek and 2 Tajiks. And by and large, the other 30 are Pashtuns. So the notion of inclusivity, that remained to be seen, or that was basically nullified. But then after that, we saw another report coming in, and in the Russian news agency, state news agency, which quoted officials from Russia and said that the Russian ambassador would be participating. I spoke to some Taliban sources as well. They said the Uzbek ambassador is also to likely participate in the oath-taking ceremony. It is still unclear whether or not China and Pakistan would be represented in this much anticipated oath-taking ceremony, as in when it would be. But 6 countries are confirmed. There are reports of more invites being sent out, especially to Egypt and to the United States of America. Egypt might have some diplomatic presence as we speak in the country, or they would be, but their ambassador is currently not in town. With regards to the US, we understand that the US has completely wrapped up its physical diplomatic presence from Kabul, and they are operating their Kabul mission out of Doha. So it would be very interesting to see, in case if the invite has indeed been extended to the United States, whether or not they would be participating, and how that pans out, that remains to be seen. Eric?
Malik, my final question to you. Let's talk about the crackdown on protests. We saw horrifying images of journalists who were allegedly arrested and beaten by the Taliban for covering the protests. What does this say about the rights of journalists under the Taliban rule, and more so covering events in Afghanistan?
Yes, at least 6 journalists that I know of, they were arrested on day before yesterday for covering a protest, a small protest of women that was in Dasht-e-Barchi. It was not an anti-Pakistan protest. It was not an anti-Taliban protest. In fact, those women were just out on the roads because Dasht-e-Barchi is a Hazara populous area, Hazara community populous area. So they were out on the roads to demand a more inclusive government. They wanted somebody to from their gender to be represented as well, to precisely the inclusion of a woman minister in the cabinet. Also, the inclusion of a Hazara minister in the cabinet as well. But journalists who were covering that, not just local journalists but foreign journalists as well, they were hooed at, they were rounded up, they were harassed, and then 6 of them were arrested as well. Not just arrested, but they were lashed, they were tortured in the most heinous manner. The Taliban yesterday, they had barred or banned coverage of these protests. There were calls for major protests in the city, in Parwan Se, and that was to end at the Afghan Presidential Palace or near the Afghan Presidential Palace at Chowk Zumbak. But we saw increased security deployments around the city, increased checkposts as well. In fact, a Taliban official at one of these checkposts had specifically told us that we were not allowed to cover any of these protests because there were standing instructions. Also, it is pertinent to mention that that circular from the Ministry of Interior that had said that no protest can take place unless a prior permission 24 hours prior to the protest time is sought, and the slogans have been approved by the Ministry of Justice. This just shows on to say the amount of control that the Taliban want to exercise, in case if somebody wants to somebody wants to show defiance, then what they can be subjected to. This is what goes on to show in actuality the fact that how brutal the Taliban can be in days to come, regardless of how change they would, how much the semblance of change they would want to show. That is something that would be worrisome for the international community as well. Eric?
Anas Malik, we are glad that you're safe, and thank you very much for that update.